Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us at Parents Huddle. Uh, it's a very rainy Monday morning, super cooling outside. It's only 26 degrees. I feel like a weather report right now, but I hope you have a great start to the week today. We're waiting for my colleague Colin to come in because today's topic is pretty interesting and it's a topic that is rather dubious, or a lot of people are always asking whether we are doing the right thing when it comes to fever in babies and what are the causes, all these kind of things. I think it's really difficult, especially as a first-time parent. Sometimes we tend to panic a little bit more. Or we've all been there as moms. Like first time is always everything is new, right? So today there are some things that we're going to address with basically what is considered a fever, what could be the causes of some fevers, and what we would do. And also we have one interesting tip later on how baby wearing can actually help you with a baby that has fever and you're stuck at home, and like a doctor can only do so much, right? So here is, ta-da, here's Pauline.
Hello, I hope everybody had your lunch today. It's been a very wet day. So welcome here. Thank you for joining us. And please help us like and share about Parents Huddle. And I don't know where you guys stay. Anybody stay around where we are, which is around Bishan area, more to the central side. It's been pouring very badly just now. So not so easy to get around, to get lunch and stuff like that settled. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. Yeah.
Yep, I got them. But particularly because this week we're talking more about younger babies from 0 months and up to about 6 months-ish or so. So we're talking about fever in babies, like I mentioned earlier on. For those that just joined us, please help us like and share, okay, so that other parents can benefit. So I was telling them about first-time parents. I mean, we've all been first-time parents before.
Okay.
And when our baby gets a fever and they're slightly younger, I think you cannot see your head.
Let's see my head.
So I was saying that we tend to.
I don't have a fever. We get ourselves checked.
But I didn't want her head to be cut off either. So, but anyway, we are going to talk about fever in babies today. I think this is particularly important because more so even for first-time parents, because we tend to probably as a first-time parent tend to over-worry, overthink things,
Yeah.
So usually, it's 37 point.
Just a disclaimer before we start off the show, both of us are not medical professionals. We are just sharing more from the experience of parents as well as us, okay? So parents as in people around us, as well as clients who have come here and then share with us how they dealt with fevers and so on and so forth. So we've done a bit of research, and as Michelle just now rightfully mentioned, if you are a first-time parent, I think what you are most fearful of when your child is really young is actually fever, because there are many reasons why actually a child has fever, and how actually do you determine whether a child has fever? So what's a fever? What causes a fever?
Okay, so basically from the research that we did, and also from the many babies that we have seen and our own kids, like in their nature, babies tend to have a higher basal body temperature. What do we mean by basal body temperature? Like, for example, we adults tend to be a little bit cooler in general. Like, we're like really around 37, or like, I'm way below. Like, I'm just cold-blooded baby. So 36 point. I'm always like 36.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like 10 degrees.
But then kids, right? And like kids usually tend to be around 37 or a little bit higher than that. And then here is the question: where is the boundary? Where is it where we call it actually fever?
Actually, it's very, very interesting. Why is it more apt now? Because without understanding that they actually have a higher basal temperature, then a lot of places, because with the COVID situation, a lot of places are measuring temperatures. And I mean, I still have young kids at home, so basically when you get anywhere, they measure the temperature and they say, oh, the child has a fever. But it's like 37.4. Is it normal? Actually, it's not just the basal temperature that is supposed to be higher, but sometimes like a child goes out is in the sun for a while and they just got somewhere, they are frantic, they are late, their temperatures do tend to be high, but it's not just for kids, for adults as well. So yeah.
Moreover, now we're wearing masks, so we tend to have the heat and the breathing and everything.
Yeah, so it tends to be a bit warmer. So having an understanding of what a fever really is really will help us also in understanding other people's temperatures when they are visiting, and also for you to explain if let's say someone says your child temperature is so high, then should you be worried? Since today we are focusing on younger kids, what then is temperature that we would consider?
Okay, we did a little bit of research because like we disclaimed just now, we are not medical experts. However, we did a little research on kidshealth.org, which is a compilation of medical research that they have done and from credible doctors as well. Do not link teething fever to actual teething, because teething fever doesn't actually reach a temperature, but they say officially if a child has a temperature that's higher than 37.8, anything beyond that, then that will be considered an actual fever.
Okay, I mean, the other thing you might want to take note of is that thermometers actually will vary, and not everything is 100% accurate, because who then is to say that this thermometer is more accurate than the other? So we have to plus minus a little bit. That's why in most cases, anything that's below 38 degrees, we normally would not consider it a fever. In fact, according to the Mayo Clinic, anything like what Michelle says, anything that's 37.8, we shouldn't even consider. But to be safe, we would want to say maybe plus and minus, give the thermometer a little bit of benefit of the doubt. We go for 38 degrees. That's why even on our premises, when we do our checks for people entering our premises, our cutoff is actually 38 degrees. Why? Sometimes it's also to cater for adults, it's to cater for you being out. When you come here, naturally your temperature is higher, because I've measured like a lot of parents, they come here, they are late for their appointments, they run, and then they come here, it's like 37.5. Normally we'll say, it's a bit on the high side. Then a lot of times, a lot of our parents will tell us, it's very hot outside, I just got here and here. So it's very, it's very, very consistent. So in this for the case of the young children, anything that's below 38 degrees, actually from 37.5 to about 38 is actually considered low grade fever, and typically you shouldn't be at all worried. In fact, I wouldn't quite consider it as fever. It would just be because they are just under the weather, a little bit too hot outside, or you've been baby wearing, for example.
Yep.
Sometimes when you're baby wearing, the both of you have heat traps, so your temperatures may actually turn out to be a bit higher. It fluctuates.
Right.
And to be honest, over the weekend, I just I took my child out to the supermarket, and then we went up to the garden for just maybe 5 minutes out in the sun. Then we forgot something. We went back to the supermarket. We tested our temperatures again. It was like about 0.4 degrees difference for most of us. So you can see just a couple of minutes out in the sun, so much difference. So I think it's quite logical to say that we study at 38. Yeah, for kids, it's actually quite natural. Yeah, Michelle?
So a bit more of technicalities for you guys out there. What is a fever? Fever happens when the so-called internal body thermostat, it goes a little haywire because probably your body is trying to fight off something. Mm-hmm. So they raise the body temperature to actually fight all the so-called bad germs or the bad guys inside your body. It's how the body protects itself. Mm-hmm. So, and I'll not go into the brain and everything, what's controlling it. So basically what is happening is that the body is trying to fight and reset your body for fighting and then recovering. That's why the fever comes about. All right. So for in children and babies, like I think Pauline already highlighted many factors that could raise the body temperature besides just a fever. But some other things also what can cause fever is that there are infections, obviously, like I mentioned, fighting bad germs in the body, overdressing an infant is actually a thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to like older folks, tradition. They're like, oh, you must cover the baby in mittens and socks and long johns and what the whole. But it's Singapore, like unless you're in a super cold aircon room, then I will not argue so much.
It's interesting. I think it's not tradition, but really the culture. Actually, the culture, because one of my friends visited when the child, she's Australian, she visited Singapore, and then her kid wasn't below 1 year old, wasn't wearing any shirts. All the kid was wearing was a disposable diaper then. And then we're like, okay. But it wasn't like, I mean, it was something new to me, but I wasn't like entirely concerned that the child would catch a cold because it was really hot there. But she was telling me, it's so weird. Why is it's so hot in Singapore? And she was on the MRT, and a lot of people are staring at her like she's going to harm her kid. It was pretty cool. It was quite cool where they came from. It's not entirely cold, but she said it's really hot, and you're not going to catch a cold by dressing a little bit less lah. So Michelle is right. In Singapore, you realize that probably Asia, but most people always say, don't let the child catch a cold. Yeah, maybe when they're newborns. I think it's important not to leave them empty all the time because they're just out of the body, and they need some time for the body to actually regulate the normal human temperature. But if you are going out with a baby who's a little, it's more than an infant, I think overdressing is actually a big issue, right? To actually increase the baby's temperature.
These are very valid points. Of course, like she said, the newborn, we're not going to leave them like naked and lying out. But for a little while, without aircon or anything, I think in Singapore, it's pretty okay. Like she said, it's more of a cultural difference that maybe Western people have versus us. What are we? We're Asian people. Sorry. We are Asian people.
So what kind of people? Weird people.
So the cultural difference is there. Like I'm not originally
she didn't grow up
in Singapore, so I found it a little weird. Like kids back in Europe, like if it's like 18 degrees, people are like, oh come, let's like undress, woohoo, pool party.
18 degrees,
yeah. It's like summer. So but I think how do you call it, like biologically or medically, our basic knowledge, we should know that our children are not as equipped as us adults, especially babies, to actually regulate their own body temperatures. So when we already have a very warm environment, don't go and overdress them, because when they have a fever, that may aggravate the fever some more. It's what we researched.
Yeah. So for anyone, not just babies, I think it's important to dress right. And also, like Michelle mentioned, I think what she meant was that our bodies have a feedback mechanism. So if we allow the environment to actually help our body learn, we actually assimilate to the environment that we live in. So for people who stay in Europe or very cold countries, they tend to develop this they are very afraid of being hot, like maybe at a very low temperature of, say, like what she said, 18 degrees. Some people at 15 degrees say, wow, it's very hot. They take off everything. Interestingly, I was in Melbourne like 2 years back, and we were like kind of like really cold. It felt cold to us. It was like maybe about 4 degrees, I can't remember. And we're like, oh, very cold. We were all dressed, and like it's winter. But we saw this guy with just his shorts, singlet, very fit type, walking around. I think it's because the body has gotten used to.
There's a word for it, but I forgot what it is.
Yeah,
climate adaptation.
Yeah, so for babies, it's the same thing. While they shouldn't be overcooked, we should actually allow the body to take in the natural environment.
Yes.
Your body actually has a feedback mechanism. So what happens if you overdress them sometimes? If you overdress them, it might cause a higher temperature, which some people wrongly think is fever. It is really not. And in the end, you end up worrying for nothing. I think well.
All right, and then one more thing that would cause a fever, of course, obviously, would be immunizations. Yeah, because they're injecting what do you call it? The so-called weakened form of the
not a live
the disease or illness.
Virus,
Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure what the term is, but anyway, that your body will try
a virus strain, a weaker strain of the virus. So a vaccine typically means that the strain of the virus is actually weakened. The purpose is actually to introduce your body to a weakened version, so that your body can actually develop antibodies against it. And as a result, this is the most common form, I would say, of what you consider fever in young children. Maybe have something.
Yep, we do, but no comments.
Yeah. If you have comments, please comment on our feed, and then we can address it.
So any questions or anything, just shoot it to us. We're not quite there yet. So anyway, I think
so. We mentioned overdressing as being one of the reason for. It's not the cause of fever. It really isn't. So we are sharing some tips with you. What are the things that you should look out for? What is considered a fever, and how to identify one. Yeah, Michelle has talked about overdressing, and then which is not fever. Then after that, she also talked about what was it? Vaccine.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's the easier word for it. Immunizations. Okay. So there's a question. Is it okay to use cooling forehead patches on babies below 1 month?
Okay, let's. Are you done with your raised temperatures?
And we are done with raised temperatures. So we will answer your question in a moment, Gage. So there are some more other things, because as parents with younger babies, newborns 0 to 6 months especially, we tend to panic a little bit more because we feel, of course, they're a little bit more fragile. They need more care and attention, of course. But there are some things you can look out for to not totally over panic at home. That's why we say keep calm and fight the fever with us today. There are some things that you can look out for even with a younger baby 0 to 6 months old. Like for example, maybe not so much the playing, but younger babies tend to coo and try to babble and interact with you, move around. If you're about 3 or 4 months and above, they tend to roll around. Yeah. But if you find they're super lethargic, that means they don't want to move. They just don't make any sound. They just cry, are just miserable. You will know that then it's more serious, and then you would know, okay, this fever may be something else which I cannot handle at home. But if they're still if let's say they're still just babbling and cooing, they're still drinking their milk well, they're alert, and of course normal skin color. If you have a bluish or purplish tint, means they may have lack of oxygen that comes with the illness that they're having and the fever. Then of course you have to go see a doctor. But if let's say they're still very active, basically, and feeding well, then usually we would say just stay home, let the baby rest, and it will go over, because our bodies are miracles like that. We have a fighting mechanism, and even in babies, they can their body will fight back whatever they're trying to fight with that fever that they have. So don't panic.
Yeah, I guess a lot of times we panic a little bit too much. If you understand why fever comes about, you may be a little bit more willing not to go for the full suite of medical intervention, I would say. Because when I had my first child, or in the past, I used to think that whenever you have a fever, first thing, Panadol. Okay, that one I can't take. I'm allergic, right? So my kids tend to have a little bit of sensitivity to all this kind of stuff. But when I had my first child, my child had fever, I think just below 2 months old. Many years ago in Singapore, we only had 8 weeks of maternity leave. So I didn't have anyone, no parents to help, nothing. Okay, there wasn't help even. So I had to send my child to the infant care. And that time, infant care was really new, a really new concept. It was in a hospital then. But then when you're in a hospital, it means that it's all air conditioned, right? And it's in a very small place. The babies are actually placed side by side it's in those kind of plastic basket that you see in the hospital, something like that. That's that kind of like a bed for them. And within a week, my daughter then already caught fever, and she was below 2 months, and being a very worried mom, first time mom, right? First thing, go and see pediatrician. What happened now? Like only a few days, and I think probably caught a bug. But the truth is, for kids that age, you will realize that, just to let you know, don't waste your money. A lot of times you should wait and see. Why? Because even if you go and see a doctor, there's nothing they can do. Why? They'll tell you go back and monitor after paying like $500. Yeah, and they said there's nothing they can do. Why? Because the baby's too young. It's not. You shouldn't take medication unless it's like really, really bad. And remember, the temperature then was about 38 point something or something like that, and you're not supposed to take any kind of medication. It's quite painful for me as a mother. But now that I know better, I take it much right. Really. Why I'm sharing this with you? Later on, we'll share with you some of the ways to combat it if you are pro-natural. Of course, we are sharing with you from our point of view, which tends to more towards less intervention unless necessary. So you need to identify what's important, what's more serious, and that you need to seek medical help, and then what's not so serious that you can actually relax, chill, and not panic. Don't be in a hurry, because sometimes when we are in a hurry, we tend to make wrong decisions as well. Yeah, and you're not going to be alone, right?
Correct. So actually, it's not only during your time when you have your first kid. Actually, now often, right, when I'm in quite a few morning group chats, they're like, oh, it's 37.8. I just fed my child Panadol. And I think it's a common misconception that at such a low temperature, we have this like kind of triggers like, well, we must feed Panadol, and then hopefully it goes down. But another thing that we forget is that, like I mentioned a few times earlier on, is that the fever is a mechanism to help their body fight off and create new antibodies. So when we suppress the fever, we might actually prolong their fighting, the time that they need to fight whatever germs they're having inside their body.
And more importantly, when the child uses the natural body, the antibodies to fight the whatever virus or bacteria they have in the body, it actually makes them stronger. Which is why these days people are always towards pro-natural birth, so vaginal birth and stuff like that. So it actually helps. So if so don't be worried if your child has a little bit of a fever. That's normal. Firstly, it has to be fever first, they're fighting. But what if there's not fever? Then you'll be like kind of feeding them something that's, it's not necessary.
Yeah, so there's our main message. Don't panic. Wait it out, monitor. I think that's very important.
What about high-grade fevers?
High-grade fevers, there's a long list of symptoms that I have researched, which I'm going to tell you guys about. But if you want, you can actually you can search it up. Okay.
Because where we got it from is basically from our research. Of course, you can research more already. I think it doesn't hurt to be prepared to know what's going on, so that when hopefully not lah, but if it does happen, then you could be more aware of things like that, when to go to hospital.
So basically, they are referring to temperatures that are leaning towards 39 degrees and above. So that's when you really have
Celsius,
Celsius, yes. So you have to be alert then, like, are they still feeding, especially like fluid intakes, all that. Because at 6 months, some of them before 6 months, they start weaning. So you have to really keep in mind that they have to have enough fluids. Again, the lethargy is very important, because same goes for head injuries actually. When we can't see something and they can't talk, it's very difficult for us actually. So just check whether they're still active, whether they're still in the mood to play and interact with you. If they don't, and they don't really make eye contact, then it's a time where, yes, I would say please go and see a doctor, because you may not be able to handle that at home.
Yeah, it's very interesting also. Michelle talked about higher grade fevers that maybe beyond 39. why is it interesting? I just recalled one incident when I was talking to somebody who lived in UK for a bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. If any of you are watching and you are familiar with how things work in UK, this person actually told me in Singapore we are kind of like we are panicking when a child has a low grade fever. In fact, if you go to UK and you go and see a doctor when the child has a fever of below 39 degrees, they won't even see you. It's not considered fever. Alright. Okay. So it was interesting to me because then as that time I was still a new mother. I was like, 39 degrees, isn't it very high temperature? But apparently after that I started rethinking, oh, is it really true? I mean, if other countries they see it as that way, then I think maybe we are worrying ourselves too much before you really hit fever and you know that you have to be worried. So below 39, I think it's okay. In fact, shall we go into like apart from what are the things that you can do for fever?
Mm-hmm. Oh, do you want to?
I think Gage has some of the.
He was talking about the cooling patches on the forehead.
Does it work? Have you used, Michelle?
And below, can be used below 1 month expression. Yes. I admit I have used it before.
Yourself?
No. For my kids, of course. Like when it was really high, like 39, and I knew it was just a bug. I didn't want to go see a doctor because he would give me the same thing.
Ibuprofen. That is a very strong form of
like a Panadol.
Panadol. Yeah. Okay, so that's typically prescribed. Panadol and Ibuprofen, they are normally prescribed for kids with fever. Ibuprofen is a stronger fever fighting medicine, something like that. So I used to feed my child a lot of that. But back to the cool patches, I would say that I put it on my kids before, and the reaction from my child was immediate crying, especially when they hit above 38 degrees. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted, and we used to cheat the child when they're toddlers, like you can scold them and they know, right? Hey, don't cry, you know, like I'm helping you. Okay, after I tend towards natural, I realized one thing. I should try the fever patches that I have in my fridge and then decide whether it's something that I should keep. I had fever one day. I took one patch I put on my forehead. Okay. I did the same thing as my kid did.
You cried?
I screamed. It's a shock to the body. So if you ask me today, should I be using fever patches? I would tell you, maybe we shouldn't shock the system. Yeah. So, Gage, I hope that answers your question. But that's a very, very good question because it was something that I fervently buy a lot of. You see my fridge a lot last time.
I'm sorry,
guys. But one of the ways that you can, for a young child who is unable to take any medication, or even if they take and you don't really want to introduce too much chemicals or drugs in their body. What I found with my third child is, of course, chill and then chill really. So my child had very high fever at about 39, almost 40 degrees. And the first thing I did, I was at work. And you all know where I work, right? Baby slings and carriers, right? So what's the first thing I do? It's already close to 40 and showroom was packed, but I had to go, so I was preparing to go back. But in the meantime, what could I have done? It was a weekend. So the first thing I did was to put on a wrap and throw my baby in. So if you think about it, it actually is like the cool patch, but it actually puts the baby against your body. And of course, at the showroom, I can't address her and I dress myself. So it did bring down the fever a little. But when I reached home, the first thing I did was to actually took off all the infant's clothes, of course, excluding the diaper. Diaper still stays on, I'm scared. So anyway, so I took off my clothes and I wrapped the child on me. So it's skin to skin. With that kind of skin to skin, within 5 minutes, the temperature went down to 37 point something. It was really a miracle. 5 minutes only. And I carried my child throughout. After that, it stayed maybe 37 plus to 38, that's all. And from then on, I know that this is something that works. And subsequently, until today, I'm glad to say that my child hasn't really taken any drugs. She's already 6, almost 7 years old. She's never taken any medication before. Because whenever she has a fever, I use what Michelle said earlier, let the body fight it out. And she usually recovers much, much faster. In the past, when I had 2 older kids, I used to go and see a doctor very often. Ibuprofen and Panadols were my best friend. Okay, I buy lots of it, big bottle, okay? And I realized that the older kids then used to get sick a lot more often. They kind of get sick every few weeks. For my youngest, Tachuna, I hope it's not just because of that, but the key thing is that allowing the body to fight through a fever naturally actually seems to have strengthened her body as well. She doesn't easily catch anything, and if she does, she tends to be able to recover very, very quickly. And I think that's what works for us, and I'm going to keep it like that unless the fever hits maybe closer to 40 degrees or above, or there's a injury or likelihood of injury. If not, I think I'm just going to stay the course. Yeah.
Okay, that's I wish I knew that in my early years.
I wish to. I did everything that was I thought was. Now that I think back, I think it's wrong. But well, everybody has their own views, and of course, I mean, we're just sharing what we have experienced and what people around us has experienced. And of course, we've also done a little bit of research into kangaroo care. We won't share a lot with you because it's not relevant to the topic that we're doing today. But if you search kangaroo care, you can easily understand why, because mother's body temperature actually reacts to the baby's body temperature. That's why kangaroo care works, and for that reason, that could have worked for a child with fever and might work with a younger infant who is not able to take any medication as well. So I encourage you to maybe just Google for that and see if it helps you. So you want to see how a wrap works?
Yeah, of course. But like it also worked for older kids, right?
Well, until my child was maybe about 3-4 years old, I was still using it when the child is not feeling well. So
when you get your baby.
Yeah. I'm not going to undress myself. Just saying, in case you're wondering, because it's like too much cloth to be using a wrap. Thank you. So if you are watching us for the first time, I hope you can like and share this with your friend. Parents Huddle is made by parents or parents, and we share tips with you every week on Mondays. And today we are talking about fevers in young children and some of the natural ways that you can actually help to make the child more comfortable and hopefully help with the fever as well. Alright. So one of the ways just now we shared about was about the kangaroo care, having the child naked against your body, skin to skin. Alright. So I'm going to show you how a wrap works. I use the wrap a lot when my child is sick and has fever in the younger days. So you look for the center. Stretch wraps are good because it makes them comfortable, I feel. Okay, bring to the back of the body. Alright. So it's a long piece of cloth. Select one that works for your child's weight, yeah. Tighten. We have video instructions of how to use a wrap on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. This is not going to be a tutorial video, just showing you quickly so that you have an idea what we're talking about, how does it look. Alright? Wrap around you, so easy to keep around. Should always have a wrap at home, I think, especially when your child is young. Bring down. Why wrap and not sling? You know why, Michelle? Why wrap and not sling? I think your back will break when you carry a 6-year-old in the sling for the whole day. Okay, thank you. So bring baby over the shoulder. Slide the baby in. So because the wrap actually covers a lot, it actually makes it very snug against you, and there is more contact point. Apart from the weight distribution, I think it works better in a situation where you're trying to practice a skin to skin kangaroo care. Why? Because of the contact area that you will have using the wrap being very snug and covering every part of you. And of course, if your mom or your mother-in-law says, hey, already fever already leh, you carry like that without clothes, will they catch a cold? Cover already ma. So helps. Okay, bring this around up to the neck level, spread it out a little bit. Okay.
So am I right to say that you could go totally naked inside?
Yeah,
Because like
sexy,
you're covered,
right?
Just bareback only.
Yeah. Sexy, yes.
So that the baby can have full skin to skin contact. That's what you do, right?
Yeah,
That is
that's
what
right.
you do.
Yeah.
Mother totally topless and baby is naked.
Yes.
With diaper.
And of course, if you're breastfeeding, that makes it very easy. You know, because when a child has fever, they tend to drink a lot. If you are bottle feeding, then you might want to feed the child's head and make sure that when a child is not well, it's even more important to watch the child when they feed, because it is a hazard actually. So you can actually breastfeed in the wrap, and it makes it very easy for them, and it soothes them much faster, and that helps with the fever, the coping mechanism of the baby as well. But you have to always be mindful. Okay, so this is what we do with wraps. It helps the medical professional. Again, we say this is what works, and we are just using common sense here. If you do a bit of research, you'll know that why it works is because it's just like having the cool patch but all over, but it's not too cold. The reason why the cool patch is cold is because it's from the fridge, and it's a sudden shock, so the difference in temperature is very different. But for a baby who's having fever, they're trying to go back to the same state, which is around the human temperature, and you are the best cooling aid for your child actually. So yeah, it increases that. Yeah. So effectiveness is, I think, is much higher.
But I think besides cooling down the fever, also because babies tend to be more clingy when they're sick, so this will really save you a lot of
sanity
and arm power.
Yeah.
Not your arms might just drop off your body.
Yeah. So having said that, I think we also mentioned something about thermometers and so on. Yeah. So you really need something that's more accurate if possible, and I think Donnie would have something to share with us.
Donnie will be our safety specialist. Will be giving you tips on what to look out for when having thermometers, and also I think something about room temperatures. So there are more elements to when you want to make your baby comfortable when they're having a fever, and so that you can monitor them closely as well.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting for Donnie to stream in.
She's slurring. I think she didn't have enough sleep, and plus the weather is quite good today, Yeah, it's quite. Yeah. I mean, it's quite cool, if you have a wrap like this. Even if your child is not having a fever, I encourage you to get one. Most comfortable is actually Boba or the JPM. Yeah, Love Radius.
Is that Donnie?
Yeah. No, hi Donnie. I'm happy. Okay.
Hi. Hello everyone. Me again. Okay, so I'm going to ask to share with you some of the thermometers that we have at Baby Gates and Safety that could actually help you if, say, the baby or the child starts to have fever. I think having a thermometer at hand is really, really useful. We have a pretty big range. There is some of this which are more traditional. These are the traditional thermometers. Our thermometers are all mercury free. So these days, I think if you want to choose a thermometer, it's important for you to go for a mercury free version. So most of these actually have flexi tip also, because if you're dealing with a small child, a thermometer that has flexi tip, mercury free is usually very useful, because if not, sometimes if they struggle and stuff, you can actually get hurt. These thermometers are actually useful for mouth, armpit, for the younger child. Some people find that it would still be more accurate to actually go for the anus. So these are suitable for that. depending on what you prefer, I personally find that for those with sensitive skin particularly, there's actually even one with golden tip. This has a gold tip. So with something with a gold tip actually is suitable for those with extra sensitive skin. Um, and for those with a very fidgety child, you want to go for something that can take temperature as fast as possible. So this is the probably one of the fastest, 10 seconds for a normal type of thermometer. And if you are like me, which is like, sometimes you're like, you wake up in the night, you want to take temperature of the child, and you're like, find it too difficult to do that. Something like this, the contactless, would actually be very, very useful. Because the contactless thermometer-wise, they use infrared to detect. In terms of accuracy-wise, well, they may compromise slightly different, and you have to be a little bit more precise in where you measure. But typically, the forehead, the temple, behind the neck, these are areas that you can actually take the temperature. And sometimes they can even take. This one, the skin temp, allows you with a attachment to measure those in the ear. They are relatively accurate, and these are 1 second measurement, meaning that once the thermometer warms up, you click in one click, and you have the temperature. So that makes it very easy. And the one with the backlighting allows you to read the dark. So this makes it very useful for you. They also have features to allow you to check the surface temperature. Like, this one this tool you can actually check your bottle temperature. So in case you need to use it as a thermometer every day, you can. So it's a very, very handy tool to have at home. And if a child is running a fever, sometimes it's also very important for you to make sure that the environment is not too cold. So some of these thermometers, like this one, allows you to also measure ambient temperature, meaning that you can measure the air temperature. So around the child, around the cot, to make sure that the child doesn't catch a cold, because when they are having a fever, the temperature is high, so they tend to lose heat very fast if the surrounding air is too cold. So something like this is very important. So this allows you to measure the room temperature. It's also very nice night light with star projection to keep the child occupied a little, so that they can be a bit more distracted and not feeling so well. So a very good tool to have in your bedroom for room temperature as well as cleaning the child. It also comes with white noise to help the child sleep better. So these are thermometers, and I really encourage anybody who doesn't have one handy at home to really consider having one. You've got a few around the house, just as a spare. Because something like this, you can bring around, and when something happens, you want it them handy.
Alright, someone asked, do we need to sterilize?
Well, it is definitely good for the normal type of thermometers. Once you also sterilize, but rather once in a while you want to wash them with soap. And it is encouraged that for thermometers like this is a personal thing. So you should not share a thermometer like this with too many people. It's best that one person has their own. So if you get one for your child, it's only used with your child. And you still need to wash it regularly with soap. And as for contactless, those are less of an issue because there is no contact with the skin. I hope that helps. Any other questions?
Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you, Donnie.
Yeah, why call me? Sorry, interrupted by a phone call, commercial break.
Thank you, Donnie, for sharing so much with us. Well, we certainly didn't know that different thermometers have different response time. So if we are not aware, you might want to know that thermometers, some take a while to respond. So sorry. So some take a while to respond. So some takes 1 second to measure the temperature, and some take like 30 seconds, he said, something like that. So don't be too quick to pull it out. I mean, if yours is takes a while, but these days we do really like. Why this person so annoying? These days we really do like the ones that are non-contact one, the contactless ones. And you might like to know that now thermometers are on a special discount on our website, Baby Gates and Safety, 20% off for, I don't know,